This is the Afro Perspective Podcast, the home of over-opinionated young voices.
No, you lead on both. You know I'm not very good at that.
Anyway, introduction.
Welcome to the Afro Perspective Podcast. This is season 2, episode 2. And I am joined alongside my co-hosts Anton and Zoya. So what are we talking about today?
Hot topic number 1. Gotta talk about Huncho and the revealing of Huncho, the revelations, and what it means for, well, how we feel about it and what it means for him, I guess, in the industry going forward. So I believe the story was he was secretly recorded with his mask off. Huncho, if you don't know, was a drill artist that had a mask on, not like no ordinary, COVID mask. He had a mask on that was like a specialist type of mask. Everybody could recognize it and recognize that it was Huncho, and he kept his identity anonymous. So for the general public, you just didn't know who he was. But somebody snidely recorded him with his mask off during a session, and it hit the headlines. Very interesting to see who was under the mask. So I don't know if any of you guys caught it or if... Okay,
so I caught the... I saw the video.
Yeah.
So the video was apparently recorded by one of Dutchavelli's entourage.
So he would have got caught during the Dutchavelli session, basically.
Yeah, so him and Dutchavelli are in studio, in a studio session.
Right.
And one of Dutchavelli's cronies secretly recorded Huncho.
Can we just first call that out as very snaky?
It is very it is
unexpected though.
Yeah, point blank.
Right.
It's point blank snaky. There's no justification for that kind of behavior. But he's got his own reasons, which I think I tried reading through a long ass paragraph that he wrote.
I got
halfway and I got bored because he was basically chatting.
Who wrote?
The guy that did it.
Oh, really? He came out and just said, "Yo, it was me, owned it."
Yeah, this is one of Dutchavelli's brethren. If you go out there, you'll
I knew
find
it was part of Dutchavelli's camp. I didn't really come out and actually said so.
Yeah, he did. He tried to justify himself.
There's no justification.
There's no justification for that. Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, some people are obviously bearing in mind that Dutchavelli, when the whole Dutchavelli scandal happened,
yes,
Huncho must have responded to a fan that was calling him out for obviously being associated because they
got songs together. Yeah.
And then he must have responded in the lines of, I didn't know at the time that this guy was up to this. So which kind of
man saying what they're clapping back.
Yeah, so it's kind of throwing him under the bus kind of thing.
Not sure that's fair.
So
either, okay.
So there's the assumption that Dutchavelli's camp orchestrated this to kind of take the heat of themselves and, as...
Well, today's pressure always did almost at least yesterday. So.
Yeah. So...
okay, so was you surprised by who was under the mask? Let's get into it.
Was I surprised? No.
Okay. Do you think the general public was surprised who was under the mask?
It's either here.
What is he? What's his race?
He looks like he's Asian. Some people were saying he's Afghan.
Right.
So he's of kind of that area.
Yeah, I think Middle
Eastern descent. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
So he's of Middle Eastern descent, but before that, in his music and his rhymes, it's kind of identifying almost with somebody with black in him.
Yeah.
He looks like he could be mixed with something. He could be black and something else.
Nah,
doesn't look like it. I'm not saying it isn't. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Hey.
The issue that kind of arises from that situation is, would you let somebody come into your house, eat with you, sit, laugh with you, and allow them to remain anonymous, i.e. you don't know their face?
No.
You don't do that.
No.
So likewise, there's a virtual door where our culture is concerned.
Yeah.
And this virtual door we either allow or we either accept or we reject.
Right.
Yep.
And I believe any culture would have a condition that anybody that partakes in their culture would at least have to identify themselves, because the danger of allowing somebody to sort of take part and
then run out
and benefit from the culture
without any, what's the word I'm looking for?
The almost void of accountability.
That's the word. Yeah. Nah, that is literally it.
The void of accountability.
Reap all the benefits, no accountability, no responsibility, and then sit there at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So knowing that this guy, in the comfort of being anonymous, was very comfortable with using
saying
certain words, the N-word.
Right.
See, this is where I start to have an issue.
Yeah, because it's almost like...
Because you get in the way of using it. Let's just call it what it is. So you get in the way of using it, the N-word, because you're not going to get checked on it if people think, oh, okay, cool, you're from this particular
because people don't know. Yeah, because people
don't know who you are or where you're actually from. Where in fact, if they'd have seen you before the mask, they may have been asking you some questions about you using this terminology. What? So that's a prime example of you running in, doing something, being cool with it, and then not taking any accountability for your behavior because nobody can hold you accountable because they don't know who you are.
I saw someone said that he apologized for that. When did he apologize?
Somebody said...
Apparently, people were saying that he's already apologized for using the word.
Somebody said he's no longer using the word or some nonsense like that, which...
That's bullshit though, isn't it?
Which again...
You knew what you were doing at the time.
Yeah, you knew what you were doing at the time. This man looks like a grown man. Right? So whether or not you're anonymous shouldn't be a condition as to whether you do the right or wrong.
No, you have to hold him accountable for that, I'm afraid.
So then now, as a black man, I'm there thinking, okay, this guy's taking part in the culture. He's getting ratings. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, the way that people responded, they were more concerned about protecting his privacy than calling him out for the blatant...
the bullshit.
Right, yeah, the bullshit, which is you're hiding behind a mask. You're taking part in the culture. You know full well that, yeah, fair enough. And this is the thing, right? It even goes further into the argument, which some people will say, well, black people use that word in their music. They use it as a term of endearment, blah, blah, blah. So it gives non-blacks almost a pass to use it.
No, it doesn't.
Which I totally agree with that. I don't think...
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because again, everybody understands context, and if you are privy to your history, you'd know that it's not just the Europeans that enslaved black people, and racism towards black people comes from almost every angle and direction.
Correct.
That was very political there. Yes,
I'm learning, fam.
Yeah. That's absolutely correct. You know, on a mass scale, black people were enslaved by Arabs as well.
Literally.
I'll say.
Yeah. So you're comfortable. It makes me think to myself. So in your comfort, in the comfort of your privacy. What more do you say about black people off?
But please understand that in order... sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but in order to use that word in some lyrics, you have to be relatively comfortable with using... You got to be... Can you remember when Jennifer Lopez said the N-word? And there was a big hoo-ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she never said it again. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be comfortable using that word to be putting that in your lyrics. I'm not trying to have it. Now, if you're not of that descent, then... To me, that's red card. It's an immediate red card. And I think that he needs to be held accountable for it. Technically, personally, from my point of view, I don't care that you got unmasked because it wasn't very nice. But
I'm glad that he got unmasked.
Yeah.
I'm glad that...
it's going to raise questions for other people that want to come in like that.
I mean, to be fair, before he got unmasked, I was very, very skeptical. I was like...
I didn't know who he was.
I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't care how talented you are. I want to know who you are. Because guess what? Right? We can all sit and enjoy the man's music and everything, and separate the art from the artist, blah blah blah. But at the same time, there's a cultural connection to this music, and there's a cultural ownership to this music, which again needs to be protected. So if you're found in your anonymous, in the comfort of being anonymous, but at the same time, it's like your whole character becomes questionable. Your whole
because who are you really now?
Who are you really? Do you know what I mean?
And we're not saying that you have to live up to your who you pretended to be in the first place, but who are you really? So when you go home to your mum and dad's house, who you become? Are you really M. Huncho? Yeah,
or this completely different guy? And that to me is like,
I think he did well to get away with it for so long, though.
You have to give us a kudos.
I think it's ridiculous that he got away with it so long.
But no, he's running a fraud scam.
Literally. I'm sorry, but I cannot. How
many years has he been out? Because
he's been out long enough for this not to have happened.
It's been out for a
good couple of years, isn't it?
A decent amount of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So no.
I think that people are.
We are to blame again.
Very acceptable.
We are to blame. We are very quick to
let people in.
We're very quick to give people passes as long as they entertain us. As long as they, it's almost like outsiders partaking in our culture. It's easier.
I think we've had this conversation before, but yeah, I think that
it's that amusement of somebody.
We're fascinated with people.
To see other
we're fascinated with other races that can do what we do, even if they can't do it as well. That's
our fault, though.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do. So if you had you only have to look at the Trinidad the dancer that went to Trinidad. You know, what was his name?
Yeah, the white dude.
Yeah, was it White Magic? His name?
I don't know his name.
But who could do a basic wine? Yeah. No, let's be honest. That's the wine that you've seen your uncle do 1 billion times.
That nobody bats
because he can do that wine. He got elevated to a position of.
Music videos.
I would never get elevated to just because I can do a wine. Right. It's
okay, so Anton, tell me something. How do you feel about white comedians running black jokes?
It depends how they run it. I don't see. I'm not one of these people that can't come in and they can't use the culture and I just need you to take responsibility and accountability and be here for the whole course.
It makes me very uncomfortable.
It depends who it is. So give me an example because
there's a fat dude. I forgot what his name is, but I was watching one of his specials the other day.
British or American?
American. I think he died. It was an actor as well, like really big guy.
Was he doing racist jokes or was he doing black jokes from a black point of view?
No, these were like literally. He's talking. All right, he was actually talking about. It was distinguishing between Africans and African Americans.
Oh dear, right. Too far.
Too far.
Yes. So it depends on the jokes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It depends on how intellectual you are as a comedian. Because my issue with comedians is that if you are intellectual enough, you already know to stay away from certain things. You can know. The same way we know as men, there's certain things that you can say about, women. Yeah, facts. And there's certain things that you just leave, regardless, you just leave alone.
Okay, so some people might argue that white comedians running black jokes is essentially a reciprocation of how black comedians run.
It's never the same.
Like, your Cat Williams
It's never the same in the westernized world. So unfortunately, for white people, however you want to look at it, you are the mass, you are the majority, you are the power. So therefore, you cannot step into the shoes of the underprivileged.
Do you think that's playing on victimhood? That's us playing on victimhood?
Potentially, but I don't care. I don't care. It's because it's never. If you come from a disadvantaged place and you're automatically going to be looked at differently from someone who's privileged. Imagine a privileged person making a joke about a poor person. You can't run the joke. But if you're a poor person, you can run the joke about a privileged person.
Yeah.
You're privileged. What do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get you.
So that's kind of how I look at black and white in the westernized world. When we look at that differently in the African continent, I don't know. Maybe that's a little different. But from a westernized perspective, statistically, we're underprivileged.
So you're saying that it's okay for black people to make humor out of white stereotypes, but the other way around.
I disagree with that statement as well, because if you watch something like Family Guy, they kill everybody.
They
okay. So I'm not one of these people that are so sensitive. I can think, oh, you know what? Yeah, they made a joke about. I've got a few cousins like that. They're like, oh, I can't watch Family Guy because when they say this about black people, I don't like it. No, I'm not like that. If you make the joke intellectual enough, I will laugh. Yeah? You're going to get a laugh out of me, innit? But there's certain things that you should know. If you're intellectual enough, you will know I'm not going to touch that.
So, Charlene, how do you feel about
white
comedians running black jokes?
To be honest, the funny thing is I can't even tell you the last time I watched a white comedian. So I wouldn't even... But it... I can't even... I'm trying to think of examples of like...
Have you watched Bill Burr?
Who?
Do you know who Bill Burr is? You might not know who Bill Burr is.
No.
Right, so Bill Burr is a comedian on Netflix. He's got 3 specials. He's married. In a lot...
Is this the one that's married to a black woman?
There's a couple that are married to a black woman. So there's
right.
One that talks to Charlemagne quite a lot, and he's married to a black woman. So you might be talking about him. But Bill Burr is like this angry white guy that is married to a black woman, and he makes very intellectual black jokes, but it's always on the side of the black person, so therefore you never really feel slighted. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he's making a joke about the scenario, but it almost reverses back
it's
to himself. It's kind of
like Ricky Gervais.
So because of that, I don't watch Ricky Gervais too tough, but maybe. Because of that, you don't feel slighted, and then he manages to get away with jokes. If it's intellectual and smart enough, I don't have a problem with it. It's when it's kind of, you look like you're gunning for my people, then you kind of need to leave that alone. And if you're talking about something that you're not necessarily educated,
you got the borderline racist.
Yeah, you like...
What's his name? Bill Maher. I don't know if you know this guy. Yeah. He is... It took me a while to really...
What did he say that really cut you though?
He ended up saying something that he had to apologize for. I think Ice Cube made him apologize or something. Where
pick up Ice Cube.
He's one of them ones where I think with Bill Maher, you know that he's racist, but...
Was he intellectual with the joke?
He's not even intellectual. He's just blunt with it in a way that you laugh it off, and he doesn't cross the political lines.
Right.
So he's smart enough not to cross the border.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
But you can tell he's racist.
He's on the line.
He's got undertones.
So it's one of them ones where you can tell.
Okay, but does he get everybody? Because that's my other thing.
I think he's Jewish. He's Jewish. The funny thing is, I find it's like Family Guy, right?
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane.
If you're Jewish,
he can go for the Jews.
Yeah.
He can go for the Jews and get away with it.
If you're Jewish and you make comedy, you can shoot everybody down. It's just something that I've noticed. That's why Seth gets away with it.
Yeah, because my things are
because you can say, he doesn't get the Jews, but he does. But he's getting away with that because he is also Jewish. Yeah, that's a fact. So for me, as I said, it depends on how intellectual the joke is and how you delivered it and where it's coming from. If I feel like it's coming from a place of malice, I'm telling you off.
If you can sense if a comedian's got racist undertones or racial undertones that you just think.
I assume the thing is, for me, normally when I hear white comedians running black jokes, first of all, I tend to switch off.
You switch off.
And second of all, I almost assume that no matter how much you're making these jokes,
it's not a joke.
But there's underlying.
There's something underlying that makes you feel comfortable enough to.
Do you think that's white privilege?
Yeah, it is literally them flexing their privilege.
Okay,
so do you think when black people are making jokes about white people, that's black privilege?
Is there such thing as black privilege?
Charlemagne says there is.
Now
that I'm thinking of it, it's like, okay. It's almost like we as black people, I mean, saying that we can run these jokes because obviously we're the minority and everything, doesn't necessarily empathize with how it makes white people feel.
They're probably not even watching half of the comedy, to be honest with you.
But if they did, it'd make them feel uncomfortable.
Because the ones that are looking for that kind of comedy are probably more open-minded anyway to begin with. So you're never really going to get an issue. Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. Yeah, is this going to mass westernized people when... I don't know.
And it's funny every time, like, when you see comedians, the black comedians, because the majority of the people that are at the shows are black people. They always point out the white people in the crowd. I've never seen white comedians say, big up all the black people in the house. I see there's a few of you sprinkled around. They can't run that joke.
There's a couple of people that can do that.
Yeah, there is.
But they usually have an affiliation with a black person. So
they
usually have a black wife or a black husband. So there's usually something that makes them more comfortable. In my opinion, from what I've seen anyway. I watch a lot of Netflix specials.
The funny thing is, it's almost like marrying a black person.
Gives you that card.
But then again, when you look at one of the people that raided the US Capitol,
I saw that.
Dude had
my gosh.
Black.
Oh, the Sun.
And she was, I would
Wait,
never
which
have
one?
guessed it.
Yeah, they were on some programs, like some receipts came up and they're on one of them Judge Judy programs
He
or
didn't just
whatever.
have like a black, he had a black
Girl,
wife.
yeah.
Oh my
Now
God.
this guy's some flipping
Like,
far right nationalist. So it's like,
She
okay.
looked all the way, she looked like you. Like,
Do I
yeah.
give you a pass
Yeah.
because you're married to a black woman? Nah, not really.
No, but if you're married to a black woman and she educates you enough, then you should know how to deliver. Listen to
No.
me. Bill
You
Burr
can't
doesn't...
switch racism off somebody.
No, I'm not saying you can't.
And you can't switch the sense of privilege and entitlement. You can't switch that off.
Okay. But what I'm saying is you can acknowledge. And I find in a lot of cases when we're having these arguments about entitlement, a lot of people won't even acknowledge.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Going out with a black person may make you start to realize. Remember, comedians are people that pay
Yeah,
attention to
acknowledging
life.
it is
Right,
different
yeah.
from creating equity.
Okay, that's a whole separate discussion. But you have to acknowledge it first. And a lot of people are not even acknowledging it.
Thing is, we want white people to acknowledge white privilege, like it's gonna make a difference. Like, I don't care now.
Man is like, I want my 40 acres and a meal. That's it. I'm not asking about the
I don't
next
care,
step. Yeah, you
guy.
can keep it over there.
Um,